Ladies and gentlemen, we will be starting in a few minutes. Kindly to switch off or mute your mobile devices during the series. Thank you.
Welcome to all delegates from the Ambassador of Republic of Singapore. You may now take your seat. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the public lecture of Building Resilience and Harmony, Singapore's Vision for the Next Generation. I am Taufan, Firdaus, and my colleague,
Femi,
will be your host for today's agenda.
on behalf of the committee, we are very grateful to be blessed with health and the opportunity that can get here to discuss various important issues in building resilience and harmony, Singapore's vision for the next generation.
Before we start our session, allow me to extend our warmest greeting to the guests of honor for this morning. Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim, Minister of State, Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of National Development, Republic of Singapore. Mr. Kwok Fong Sang, Ambassador of the Republic of Singapore to the Republic of Indonesia. Mr. Aaron Chi, Chancellor, Embassy of the Republic of Singapore to the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Muhammad Fazli bin Muhammad Jamaluddin, Deputy Director, International Cooperation and Partnership Division, Ministry of Home Affairs, Republic of Singapore.
Mr. Phua Jun Han, Executive, International Cooperation and Partnership Division, Ministry of Home Affairs, Republic of Singapore. Professor Dr. Ahmad Tolabi, SAG, SH, MH, MA as the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs. Professor Dr. Alimun Hanif, PhD as the Vice Rector for Student Affairs. Professor Amelia Fauzia, MA, PhD as the Head of Institute for Research and Community Service. To all of deans, vice deans, and faculty members.
And we would like also to thank everyone for attending this public lecture. Thank you for accepting the invitation to be with us here. Thank you for joining the program.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we start today's session, we will first sing Indonesia and Singapore National Anthem, Indonesia Raya and Majulah Singapura. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now be seated.
Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite to deliver his opening remark, Vice Rector of Student Affairs of UIN Jakarta. Please welcome Professor Alimun Hanif, MA, PhD.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Professor Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim, Minister of State, Minister of Home Affairs, and the Minister of National Development, the Republic of Singapore. Your Excellency, Mr. Kwok Fook Sang. Sorry for pronouncing not correctly. It's kind of a Singapore English. Ambassador of the Republic of Singapore to the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Aaron Chi, Consular, Embassy of the Republic of Singapore to the Republic of Indonesia, Muhammad Fazli bin Muhammad Jamaluddin, Deputy Director of International Cooperations and Partnerships Divisions, the Ministry of Home Affairs in Singapore, and Mr. Phua Jun Han, Executive International Cooperation of Partnership Divisions, Ministry of Home Affairs, the Republic of Singapore, Vice Sectors, Head of Bureaus, Deans, and leaders in the State Islamic University of Indonesia, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very well welcome to all of you. Greetings and Assalamualaikum. It's an honor and privilege to host this significant event today, where we gather to discuss building resilience and harmony, Singapore vision for the next generations. Of course, welcome Pak Faisal. We are especially grateful to our esteemed speakers for sharing their invaluable insights today. And unfortunately, we apologize that our rector is now in Malaysia for building cooperation between the Islamic University Associations. And a greeting for you all. What we have today is very special event for building cooperation between Singapore and UIN Jakarta. If I may start with some points that are very important to know for us. In today's rapidly changing world, resilience and harmony are more crucial than ever. Resilience help us navigate and overcome challenges such as climate change, economic uncertainties, social disruptions, political crisis, and so on. At the same time, harmony fosters peaceful coexistence and prosperity within our communities. Indonesia and Singapore share common goals and values in striving to build societies that are both resilient and harmonious. This is some point that I think all of us share the common goals in building good communities. UIN Jakarta is deeply committed to strengthening our ties with Singaporean institutions and organizations, especially for those institutions that working for academic and financial things. What we see today is immense potential in future collaboration across various fields. This includes academic exchange, joint research projects, and cultural program between our nations. Our past collaborations have yielded positive impacts, and we are eager to build on this foundation to achieve even greater success. Some of our graduates, including Prof. Amelia Fauzia, have been engaged with many Singaporean institutions in the programs such as postdoctoral or other institutions. We have about 20 Islamic universities, public universities funded by the government. But as a leading Islamic university, UIN Jakarta plays a crucial role in promoting education, research, and cultural exchange within the ASEAN regions. Our initiatives in sustainable environmental policies, innovations, and humanitarian leadership align perfectly with ASEAN broader goals, and we believe that through education, we can foster regional stability and development. This is, I think, a message from our rector that UIN has been committed in this kind of collaborations. Therefore, we see many opportunities for collaboration with Singapore, particularly in the areas such as disaster resilience, sustainable development, and interfaith dialogue. I think Professor Muhammad or the Ambassador Pak Cook can share many policies that fostering the interracial, interreligious, interethnic relations in the Singaporean community. To close our remarks, we want to reiterate the importance of this guest lecture in fostering dialogue and understanding between our nations. Singapore and Indonesia is too close to neglect the cooperations, but sometimes we feel too far because the disparity of economic development. I'm confident that our going and future collaboration will yield positive outcomes, contributing to a resilient and harmonious ASEAN community. Let us continue this dialogue and work together towards our shared goals, and we hope that all of you can raise some questions, notes, or any comments for our dialogue today. Thank you, and I look forward to fruitful discussions. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Alimun Hanif. Next, we will listen remarks from Singapore Ambassador to Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency Mr. Kwok Fong Seng.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. And firstly, our regards to the Rector, Professor Asap Saifuddin, who is in Malaysia at the moment. Can I greet Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, Dr. Ahmad Tolabi. Of course, Vice Rector for Student Affairs, Professor Ali Munhanif. Thank you for your very warm welcome and for your remarks. And also to thank in advance Professor Amelia Fauzia who will moderate the discussion later. Now, it's a pleasure for us to be here and for us to welcome Minister Faisal with us here in Jakarta. Singapore is a very near neighbor, and as an embassy and as the ambassador, I have the privilege to welcome every year in Indonesia many of our ministers. In my first year here, we welcomed about 40 ministerial visits in a year. Now, our cabinet only has 17 ministers, so you can imagine how many times our political appointees come to Indonesia, and for good reason, because you are our immediate neighbor, you are a very good and close partner, and we have a lot going on between our two countries. When our schedules permit for our visitors, we like to bring them to universities to meet with both faculty and students so that we can exchange ideas and talk about what is going on in our world. And as Prof. Ali has mentioned in his very comprehensive remarks, the challenges of the future are common to all of us, not just Indonesia and Singapore, but to our ASEAN community, which is our immediate community, but of course throughout the region, throughout the world. Already we have very strong cooperation economically. You know, Singapore is a major investor in Indonesia, and we have very strong economic defense cooperation, what I call traditional fields. But as we look to the future, we are looking at collaboration in the digital economy, we're looking at collaboration in the green economy, energy transition, renewable energy, responses to climate change. These are things that touch all our lives, whether we like it or we don't. You know, the temperature is rising every single day. We all have to cope with that. So these are the types of conversations I have with your leaders here, with ministers, with leaders from the private sector, leaders from academia. And I think this is a part of the journey that we're making together as neighbors and as close friends. So I'm very, very glad that we have Minister Faisal here today with us to be able to share with you how we see the world, what is going on in Singapore, and we look forward to some interaction with you in terms of questions and answers to kind of deepen the understanding between our two communities, which are already very close, but we can always make it closer. So thank you very much, especially to the Panitia for organizing this morning's event so well and so carefully. So thank you for your time, for being here with us, and we look forward to a very good discussion with you. Thank you very much.
Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to have Minister of State, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Ministry of National Development, Republic of Singapore, His Excellency Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim. Now we will have a public lecture series, Building Resilience and Harmony, Singapore's Vision for the Next Generation. This session will be guided by Head of Institute for Research and Community Services, Professor Amelia Fauzia, M.A., Ph.D. Give a round of applause for our moderator.
Thank you so much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Minister Muhammad Faisal, Professor Dr. Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim, Excellency Ambassador Kwok, and all of the Vice Rectors, Dean, and also from the Singaporean embassies, and some of the faculty members, and also honorable guests from the Tangerang City municipality, and also students. I'm very excited here to be the moderator of our very excellent, honorable speaker today. Today is a very special day for us. It's a kind of privilege for us to have Professor Faisal here. Will give us a lecture, a very important lecture on the preparing the next generation for the future and building more resilient and harmonious society. As mentioned by Professor Ali Munhanif and Ambassador Kwok, we are facing in very challenging time today, and having resilient, harmonious society is very crucial, important. I've been learning a lot from Singaporean society actually by myself. I had been 3 years as a senior fellow at the NUS, but still listening from the Professor Faisal will be very, very precious for me to learn more, and for Indonesia, for us to learn more from the success of the Singapore state and society. Before welcoming Professor Faisal, I will explain Professor Faisal CVs. Professor Dr. Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim is Minister of State, Minister of Home Affairs, and Minister of National Development of Republic of Singapore. Professor Faisal was promoted and appointed as Minister of State for the Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of National Development since 2020. Prior to his current appointments, he has served in various ministries, namely Ministry of Education, Social and Family Development, Transport, and Health. He has been a member of Parliament since 2006. Professor Faisal embarked on his career as a valuer with the Inland Revenue Authority in Singapore from 93 to 96, and he subsequently undertook various positions at the National University of Singapore, from senior tutor to associate professor in 2010. He graduated from NUS with Bachelor of Degree Honors in Estate Management, and then obtained master degree and was awarded the Real Estate Developer Association of Singapore Redas Gold Medal, and he received NUS Overseas Graduate Scholarship to pursue a PhD in Management Science at the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology. So we have very, not only someone who knows a lot, but make a guide of the Singapore in the term of the a policy, but he is also a professor in the National University of Singapore. So without further ado, I will give time to Professor Faisal to talk about 30 minutes, and then we'll continue with the Q&A. Especially here we have a lot of dean from about the 12 faculties we have, and also students from a number of faculties here. So we would like to learn a lot from the experience of the success experience of Singapore in dealing with the resilience and harmonious society. Please welcome all Professor Faisal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Prof. Ali Munhanif, MA PhD, and also Prof. Dr. Ahmad Talabi, and my very capable Professor Amelia Fauzia. And friends, a very good morning. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here with fellow Singaporean Ambassador Kwok and the rest of my colleagues here. We are deeply honored to be here. And as a person, although Amelia Fauzia has shared about my experiences, I enjoy learning. And I've been blessed to have a chance to learn various things in my career. And it's something that I always look forward, because some of these things, fortunately, that I have been given the opportunity to do, it's something that you cannot find in textbooks. It's through experience, and you see how, for example, a city-state like Singapore, a very, very small country, has become, in my view, as an ordinary person, as a human being, and also looking myself from the lens of a policymaker and politician. Sometimes I wonder how this small nation can become extraordinary in the eyes of many people. So, in order to have an understanding about that, I think it's good to go back to the existence of a country. One is, in order to have that resilience and to achieve harmony, you must look at any country or any state. You want to be able to make that state work for the people, to be able to flourish, to progress, to be able to look after the people, the livelihood of the people, and looking at the context of what the country has. Singapore is small, and with a population of 5.6 million, smaller than Jakarta. Right? So, and we recognize it. We recognize it. So how do we make Singapore being able to flourish and progress for the people? And there are beliefs among our leaders, our forefathers, on some of the things, principles, values that we want to hold on to or to further develop as we continue the journey in developing Singapore. one of the key things is multiracialism, right? Which our first Prime Minister said in one of his speeches in the northern part of Singapore, shortly after we gained independence. He said something to like, this is a country for every races. So this is not a Chinese country, not a Malay country, not a Indian country. So it's for everybody, right? And if you look back 200 years before that, this element of multiracialism had been there for many, many decades, right? So we recently celebrated an occasion, 200 years, and we realized that multiracialism had been there since then. And when we gained independence, we continue to harness it and continue to work hard. So that's one. Second part, we don't have land, for example, like many other countries. We don't have resources, we don't have oil, but we have people. So what must we do to the people? What must we empower the people with? Education. It's not only about building schools, it's not about spending lots of money, it's about developing something that not only to enhance the capabilities of our people, but also making sure that they continue to stay relevant in the ever-changing landscape, and at the same time, not only be useful to Singapore, but be useful to the world. So this has been an interesting journey because I was in Ministry of Education and also in the Ministry of Social and Family Development, where I was leading a delegation to the UN to share with the UN how we look after our young people. Not only in terms of education, but also other aspects of their lives. So in order to do that, I had to read a lot of things about what Singapore has been doing. Just by reading it, I feel so proud as a human being that my country, my government, has been looking after fellow young human beings in making sure that they can thrive in their lives. And when I went to the UN, I spoke with the panelists together with my delegation. I went back feeling very empowered, feeling very motivated that we must do more to make sure we develop our people. And this is important because I believe human beings, regardless of who you are, you have the potential. In my life and in my time at the Ministry of Education, one thing that struck me most was how I saw the system we have is able to empower even someone with disability to achieve the best they can. Then I realized how powerful a system and education is. But you must do it. You must be able to have competency in helping the different groups of people we have. So one part is education. Second part, without having anything much in terms of land resource, natural resources, what must we do to make sure we flourish? What we have been doing is that we have been having long-term plan. Right? Many of, even I meet my counterparts, shared with me that they want to learn how Singapore do our long-term plan. And this long-term plan is something that we do not in isolation. We involve not only the government agencies, but we involve the people. Currently, I'm in the Ministry of National Development, where we look at long-term plans of Singapore. Some, you won't believe me, many years ahead. Right? Being in the government for a few years already, I personally saw how a plan I heard maybe about 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago, continues to be implemented. And that is something that we are very fortunate we have a stable government, so that we are able to follow up, and even if you need to make some revision, you can do that, because the stability that we have enable us to do that. So, and we not only have long-term plan, but we also have medium and short-term plan that enables us to make some adjustments where needed. So, give you an example for urban planning. Right, we have the master plan, and we have which takes care about 5 years planning, and at the same time, we have a long-term plan that goes beyond the 5 years. And what we do is not policymakers in the office just saying, oh, Singapore should have this and that. We engage the people. We go out. We go to the suburban areas. We go to the heartlands to ask fellow Singaporeans what they would like to see in Singapore in the next 5 or 10 years. So that has been very powerful, because in this way, we not only plan for Singapore, we co-create Singapore together. And how to make Singapore livable, right? You see many buildings in Singapore, right? How do you blend the parks, all this together? Well, I think it has to be done by proper planning. And we also learn from others. So part of why we have been able to develop Singapore to be livable, despite the small size, is through learning from others and planning ahead. Next, it's not only about, within that long-term plan, the subset, it includes economic development. For a country like Singapore, without economic growth, the livelihood of the people will be affected. So we continue to look at how we are able to identify emerging growth sectors so that we can link to education and prepare our people for the future. That is why we have this long-term plan where we work with all the different agencies together. Although it is being headed by one agency, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, but it includes the economic agencies, the land resource agency, the social, the community, so that we are able to include the various needs of the society. And when you have economic growth and you are able to take care of the people, then the people will feel this government, this country, despite its challenges, constraints, they are looking after us. So that is important, because it's not only about building that resilience and harmony. Without providing the essential support for someone to live as an individual, as a family, and as a society. So many of you, especially those around my age, would have seen how we were in the 80s, Singapore was 70s, 80s, we were focusing on manufacturing, you know? And over the years, we changed, right, our focus towards prefab, right, and also today towards high tech, right. So all these are things that moves that we made to make sure our people remain relevant. And today we focus on AI, and the education system will follow through that. So all these to me are important because without livelihood, without looking after our people in the things that they can do, things that they can grow, you will not be able to have a society that is united. We have achieved reasonably well over the last 50 over years as an independent nation. But what's ahead will also be challenging. So that is why, with this multiracialism and knowing the strength and constraint that we have as a nation, we work very hard to develop a harmonious community or society. And to do that, it starts from the home, from the neighborhood that our people live, in addition to proactive policy making as well as laws that we have for our people. To me, developing policies as well as passing laws in Parliament is just one small part of the whole effort. Without people being able to live harmoniously, without having people to be tested but come out stronger from that test as a nation, then the whole ecosystem will not be resilient. Right? So I was a community leader before I became a member of parliament. In fact, as one of the community members of the community, I have seen cases whereby, right, even though everything looked perfect, but there are sensitive points, sensitive moments that we come across on the ground, even as a member of parliament today. But what was important was that every time there is some of these moments, the people will think, yeah, we all got to give and take. We all must live harmoniously. Never mind, this time I give in, right? For the bigger good of living together. Because the environment is conducive for that. If you don't have an environment that is being built by practice, policies, and law, things will spark quickly. Because these kind of things, whenever there are differences, there is already a fault lines. We recognize that there are fault lines because of our differences. This is natural, human nature they call it. However, how we manage the fault lines in a way that even though there are differences, people look at the bigger good. People look, never mind, it's okay, but the bigger good is more important. And that's where we want to develop Singapore along the line. So when I saw that when I was a community leader, and also I begin to see how we help one another regardless of race, language, or religion. Where I still remember in the late 90s, early 2000, where we had a financial crisis. I think you also would remember. In fact, Indonesia was also affected. So at that time, many people lost jobs, including Singaporeans. So my job at that time was to drive around my fellow volunteers to go to houses, to give rations, to provide help to people who lost job, families, young children and so forth. So I was a driver. And I told myself it was an eye-opening experience. One, we were helping everybody, regardless of race, language, or religion. I'm Malay driving, my colleagues, Indian, Chinese, all together go out to help human being, fellow Singaporean. There was no inclination of saying, oh, must help this, must not help that. It's about, then I realized this is the effect of all the hard work from the past and continues to be strengthened. And when I became a member of parliament, while I could see sparks here and there, but I saw the beauty of how, as a member of parliament, I saw it from the helicopter view. A beautiful sight that sometimes very hard to explain. How a culmination of human beings from all different races, all background, working towards resilience, despite the challenges that we face, and a harmonious living together. And there was no instance where I heard, oh, the government never take care of these ways. Government only take care of these ways. During the crisis, in my 18 years as a member of parliament. And to me, the sight of it is beautiful. But you need to work hard in achieving it. At the same time, I also realize this situation is very delicate, where if not properly strengthened or without that framework, someone, one person, can create a spark and destroy whatever you do. That is why we are mindful of this. We have law to take care of those who go beyond the boundary. So we have the Maintenance of Religious Harmony Act, right, which we continue to strengthen over the years. And we are going to have another bill that we are going to put up, which is the Maintenance of Racial Harmony Act. It's a bill that is coming that we are still working on. So this provides that protection and a rehabilitative platform for those who may have gone beyond the line or being not understanding so much about the thing that we're going to build, we are building in Singapore, so that not only we can take them to task, but also help them to get better, And COVID also, we saw how our society acted together, regardless of race, language, or religion. And I, as a local MP, I work together with multiracial groups to look after fellow Singaporeans. So, to others, multiracial, able to live next to one another, able to so-called live within the ambit of the different culture, different religious practices. But all this wouldn't have come without the hard work that we do. And I must say that is that recognition by the government that this is important and it's not easy, what must we do? Then we do it, it becomes a reality. Right? So it is very common for us whenever we have events for religious leaders to come together and give their blessings to certain occasion or certain things that we do. And this over time also helps to develop the resilience and the harmonious living we have. And this is not only at the top level, even at the local level. We have we call it the harmony circles, where it is made up of community leaders from different religious groups, different segments of the society, coming together to promote harmonious living. And at the same time, crisis management, if required. So that preparation part is key to it. Right? So I think what I've shared with you is about how Singapore, right, knowing their constraint and strength, has developed. Right? One is looking after our people so that they are able to have a livelihood, a reasonably good life. At the same time, right, by doing this, we also work very hard on the aspects of building a harmonious, a united community and society. And with the crisis that we have faced together, it continues to give us that resilience to be together. The years ahead will be, I would say, like in the past, uncertain. In fact, maybe more uncertain because of, in my view, particularly because of the changes in technology. While it presents opportunities for us, it also presents many gaps that are currently existing in the world as to how we can handle the tech world, the online world. Singapore has started to use or to provide, to produce laws, enact laws on online harm, on how we can tackle misinformation, how we can provide that safety space for people online. But I still feel the gap is still very large. And many of the areas have not been journeyed through, right? And it's a big, big world out there in the online world. So this is an area where it can spark and can affect the way we live together, not only within the country like Singapore, but I think globally, where you see today the happenings somewhere else, far, far away, can affect our people in different ways. So we no need to be there to be affected. Just looking at what's being shared online via the social media can affect us. And Indonesia and Singapore, being neighbors and having people with certain commonalities, will face this challenge together. So I think we need to work together so that we can help to protect our people together from the harmful effects of some of these developments, so that our country, both countries, can continue to thrive in this difficult or maybe challenging landscape. And that also calls for different or a different level of competency of the people that we are developing. Not only those who are working, but those who are volunteering. Right? And I think it's important for us to see how we can train, how we can share best practices in managing some of these harms that may affect our harmonious living, not only within a country, but in a region and the world. For example, I work very actively with my current Ministry of Home Affairs and National Development, where I work closely with my counterparts from Indonesia on anti-drug aspect of it, and also on anti-terrorism efforts, right, where we share information, we share best practices, and how we can keep our, not only our own country safe, right, but also how we can make sure that syndicates, criminals do not, especially with developments in the transnational crime that has been happening around, and how we want to make sure they don't take advantage of our people and don't affect the livelihood of our people. So we have the framework that can propel us towards better cooperation in dealing with some of these issues. But above all, what is key is that we must continue to navigate this together, especially in the tech world. So my hope that both Indonesia and Singapore can continue to strengthen our not only bilateral relationship from government to government, but also people to people, right? Business to business, so that as a whole, we not only grow the region, but we keep the region safe, secure, and we all can live peacefully and harmoniously. So that's my little sharing. I thought it will provide a nice ambit to our discussion later. So thank you for having me in your attention for the past 30 minutes or so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Faisal, for a very comprehensive talk. Very short, but it's show what we are looking for, the success of the Singapore. One important point that I would like to stress is the policy of multiracialism, which become the heart of Singapore policy to make the society resilience and harmony. And this is not something from above. This is something that they work very hard to make it true, especially with the education and also long-term planning. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian, tadi yang disampaikan oleh Prof. Faisal itu sangat penting buat pelajaran ya, buat bagi kita semua di Indonesia, tentang bahwa satu hal yang sangat kuat membuat Singapura resiliensi dan harmonious society sampai sekarang dan menjadi negara yang develop ya, negara maju. Salah satu yang utama adalah kebijakan tentang multirasialism yang oleh pendiri Singapura disebutkan bahwa this country is for every race. Jadi negara ini buat semua ethnic group, kira-kira gitu. Selain itu tentu saja karena Singapura itu tidak memiliki banyak tanah, banyak resource, maka yang menjadi utama yang mereka lakukan adalah melalui pendidikan termasuk universitas ya, yang luar biasa. dan tentu dengan program jangka panjang yang dilakukan dengan sangat terencana. Dan satu lagi bahwa ini yang mereka lakukan adalah kerja keras. Tidak bisa, walaupun sekarang sudah katakanlah harmonious, the resilient society-nya, tapi tetap mereka lakukan kerja keras untuk memaintain masyarakatnya, karena tantangan-tantangan dari luar itu akan selalu datang. Jadi masyarakat menjadi kuat. So this is a very small resume for me to give a bit clue for especially for the students. So I would like to open a space for question and answer. For those of you who want to ask a question to Professor Faisal, please raise your hand. Oh, the number, including some of the deans. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we keep 4 first. If I may, I would like to start from the Dean of Faculty of Medicine. Please.
Thank you, Frau Amel, for the opportunity. Your Excellency, Professor Faisal, my name is Zaki, Dean of Faculty of Medicine. I want to ask you regarding, a few months ago, there was an interesting series in the Netflix, the series called the Life to 100, The Secrets of the Blue Zones. In the series, there are few countries that traditionally the society is living a healthy lifestyle. I believe that you also have portfolio in the health sector, Professor. So it mentioned that Singapore is a place where the government has institute policies designed explicitly to promote longevity. This is interesting for us in the Faculty of Medicine, that our focus is also in the community medicines. How is the Singaporean creating the blue zones that the people can live until 100 age. Yeah. The life expectancy rate in Indonesia is about 70 years old, sir. And regarding to the Singapore visions for the next generations, it also means the elderly generations. Yeah, because in Indonesia, in 2050, we will consist maybe about 20% in elderly compositions. So how Singaporean can create blue zones through infrastructure and policies is interesting for us. Maybe you can share your experience regarding of these kinds of matter. Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay, the second one is from the Dean from Faculty of Science and Technology, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim. So I'm Husni Teja, Dean of Science and Technology Faculty. So I think your lecture is very great, and Singapore also very great for us. Yeah, so we can follow several things for education, something like that. And I want to ask about the Singapore strategic plan for the artificial intelligence. Yeah, I think now is era for the AI, and then how to implement in governments, campus, and also the education systems, something like that. Because Indonesia, we also make the AI strategic plan for Indonesians for the Indonesian golden in 2045. But I think we want to get the site from the Singapore. Yeah, it's the first question. And the second question, I think we also have the Center for the Marine and Coastal Area, and helping for the, we call it treaty, outermost and then apa ya, terdepan, terluar, and then tertinggal area. So we make some event in that area. The first is to collect data for the ecosystem, especially for the biomarine, something like that, and then educate for people in the coastal area, and I think I don't know, I think we can have the collaborate for that kind of the activities, because I believe if the coastal area near borders for the Singapore is heavy, and I think Singapore is also heavy, something like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pak Din. And you please introduce yourself. Yeah.
Hello, His Excellency. My name is Nadira Rahma, and I'm a student majoring in legal science. I believe that effective policy making must be inclusive, reflecting diverse voices, especially those of the youth who has fresh perspectives and innovative ideas. I also believe that engaging young people in decision making is crucial for sustainable governance. And with this in mind, how can policymakers in Singapore ensure that the voices of the youth matters, the voices of the youth are heard, and the voices of youth are considered in the process of decision making? Because I believe that this is something that can be implemented in Indonesia as well in the decision-making process by the policymakers. Thank you.
Good question, thank you. And the last professor from the Faculty of Education, please.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for your speech, and I get conclusion, one word or keyword your speech, successful building resilience and harmony in Singapore is work very hard. It is the keyword your speech, and it is very very interesting, yeah, for we in Indonesia. And I am from Islamic Educational Sciences, so we ask about the curriculum, because curriculum in Indonesia, it is very hot issue in Indonesia, about the curriculum in the elementary school, and then senior high school, and in the university. Maybe you can share about the curriculum in Singapore, and how about the religious education, because the special education in Indonesia, it is about the like we in UIN, Islamic University, it is about the Islamic education. Maybe you can share about the religious education in Singapore. Maybe not in the formal education, but in non-formal or informal education. And I am very interesting because the national Singapore anthem in Melayu language. So we feel we are one family, we are sister and brother. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. For excellent question, please.
Thank you for all the excellent questions. Right. First, I touch on the issue about healthy living, a very important work. I was very fortunate. I'm very fortunate that I was involved in Ministry of Health work back in 2012 to 2015. In fact, when I was there, I was in charge of healthy living. And together with my colleagues, we developed a healthy living master plan, which until today it is being implemented. So, like what I shared with you about planning, right? Just about a few months ago, I met my former colleague in MOH. Right? The person was telling me, hey, MOS, we are still doing things what you proposed in the master plan. And of course, they are tweaking here and there. So this is the consistency, the sustainability, and how you can look at the true care aspect of it, right? Because you want to make sure that your plans are being implemented or realistic. So that part is critical. And when we do healthy living master plan, it's not only about the kind of traditional thing that we talk about, eat well, you know, exercise. We have a holistic view of it, right? One is about where you live. That means we design it in areas where you carry out your activity, about your home, whether in terms of transport, whether you walk to the transport mode station, and then the journey that you walk, the route that you take, can it be conducive in encouraging you to walk? Right? Otherwise, people will all be taking Grab, right? So we have shuttled linkways, we have parks, so that your walking journey is nice and pleasant. No doubt Singapore weather is hot, but we want to make sure that it continues to be able to be conducive for people. That's one. And we are also in the aging process. Then how we design the home in such a way that it is safe for the seniors. At the same time, encourages the senior to move, be active. Right? Recently, we developed these active aging centers at the void decks, because we all live in high-rise building. So void decks near their home, so that even though they are old, they can go downstairs and do exercise in the morning. Right? They can get help. They can do their medical screening, checkup near their homes. I'll give you an example. This is important because where you live, the facilities there is critical. I know someone who got Parkinson's disease. Recently shifted in my constituency, and what he has done is he has been going to this active aging center almost every day. And because of that, because he could walk in a conducive manner and he met people, actually his condition got better. The wife was telling me that when he was not being engaged, he was very sad and his situation went down. But because of this engagement, it really helped him, right? So, and also we don't look in silo. I'm in a committee whereby it's an inter-ministry committee where we look at certain aspects of it, health, housing, infrastructure, transport, and all this, how we can promote healthy living. Right, so I think these are things that we ought to do, because we want to make sure that our people not only can have long life, but have less of the life being in illness. You can have long life, but you are suffering. You may be bedridden, and that's not what we want. Right? So sometimes it inspires me. I used to walk my ground. Just last Saturday I was walking in my constituency, and I met so many old people, seniors walking and exercising. We stop, we talk about, and some 80 years old, some 90 years old, still active, and I think it's nice. And we continue to do that. And so it's not about using just technology, but it's empowering people to look after their own health. So that part is critical. And we work not only with the government agencies, we work with the social service agencies and volunteers. Yeah. The way ahead, if you are not careful, if you don't have community to come forward, you will realize that you will need to build many more infrastructure to take care of aging. I think it's not sustainable. You cannot be building many nursing homes. Right? So you must build your capabilities in the community to look after one another. So this is what we have been embarking. Then the next part, question about the strategy for AI. AI is one of the areas, priority areas in our country. We are small, we can't have the ecosystem like Silicon Valley, right, where they have land and they have opportunities to place and provide platforms for the different players, right? And if you look at the AI, there is a small group. These are the people who talk to the machine. They design the machine. They are the creators, right? But below that, there are many people who play in this platform, like those who create other platforms, those who provide the services and so forth. And the educational institute play a very important role. Right? I get interested in this area because my son is doing his bachelor degree, and one of the areas that he does is on AI. And so Singapore, we feel that we can be a place where we can provide a conducive environment for talents to come and develop things together, connected to some other countries which have a bigger ecosystem, and especially to develop solutions in some of the emerging areas in AI. And to me, key to developing an environment is how we can start at the low level to get our people be ready in the future of the AI world. It's going to develop fast, right? And already there are stories, right? You watch Korean drama, right? Just over the weekend, my wife and daughter were watching about a Korean drama of the AI world. Even though the person passed away, he continues to live in the AI world. So my wife asked me whether if she dies, will I still want to have the AI world? So it's a very difficult question to answer. Yeah, so a lot of things will happen, right? So, but Singapore can never be, we do not want to replicate, or we shouldn't replicate what's happening in Silicon Valley. So we want to find an area that we can develop niche, right, and strengths. And Singapore is a country at this moment where talents would like to come. So that is our strength. And about the climate change, right, definitely, even though we are small, we want to make sure we play a part in this. We are also going to be affected by the rise in sea level. In fact, the eastern part of Singapore, right, in 100 years, if we don't do anything, a fair bit of that space will be submerged. So we have a Long Island project. It's called Long Island, where we're going to build a structure that will help us to eradicate or rather manage this issue. And we work very closely with the marine or even the ecological activist group so that they can have a space to play. So recently we had an oil spill happening in Singapore. So we brought in all the activists to look out at the different areas. So I think we are developing well in this area, right? In fact, last year I was sharing with Ambassador that last year I was at UN Security Council to share about Singapore's stand support on what we should do to manage this rising sea level. Right? We continue to do that. And we welcome working together with Indonesia. And Nadira shared a very nice, a very important point about how we can continue to hear the voices of the young. This is very important. And not only for policy making, my view is about how we can galvanize the wisdom of the seniors and the ideal and vision of the young. Because, and to be honest with you, it may seem to be easy, but I want to tell you that, I mean, we all, me at constituency level, I manage the old and young, right? At times, there are differences, so how we can bring this together, and it involves a process, right? So the process part you must play, you must continue to manage it, so that the young feel comfortable sharing their views, and the seniors feel that supportive about it, and you are not neglecting them, right? So, and in the country as well, you know, in Singapore recently we try to get people to use the AI, or even the handphone or this, right? To use the tech. So we actually go down to the ground. We have ambassadors that reach out to the seniors so that they don't feel scared using it, right? And we get the young to do this. We get students from the junior college to do this, right? So secondary school students going out to meet the seniors. So you have that intergenerational engagement. That is key, right? So in order to make sure that we continue to develop, you don't forget the intergenerational engagement, right? So that you are able to take care of the process. I feel today issues like mental health, wellness become very important, right? And rightly so, it's important, right? Nevertheless, the seniors will tell you, but you must not forget resilience. How to get to that level whereby you are able to endure, be patient, but don't snap. Then your resilience level will go up. But if the concern for the seniors is that they said, but once there is a small spark of mental health issue, then you stop. Then your level of resilience may not be going up. And this will affect the development of the society. Right? So I feel that the young should be open in facing some challenges at times, but as a society, how we can work together to make sure that there are help around, available, privacy is being observed, at the same time, acceptance, even those who have snapped, those who have been affected, so that they can come back on the, to be able to come back, right? And I feel the way we go seems good, that people are opening up more opportunities for us to talk, to do, and to come out in this way. You know, I work with the prison very closely. One of the areas of my portfolio is working with the ex-offenders. In Singapore, our society is more accepting of the ex-offenders. We have this Yellow Ribbon project, whereby we reach out to community to give these ex-offenders beyond second chances. And one of the things that I do, I bring these ex-offenders to be part of this effort. So they become the champion, they become the ambassadors, right? And you see a different facade, different dynamics altogether. Right? So this is something that when the young come forward, even though they face challenges, you must tell them, don't worry, come out and do it. And you can tell the society and the community We accept them. We welcome them. They are strong. That's why they are brave. They come out, and we must celebrate that. Right? Otherwise, if we feel someone has a mental issue, come out, we stigmatize them, then it will weaken the younger generation. And that's not good for any country, any society, or any family. Right? So we must galvanize and work together on this. Then about education, thank you for your comment and question. In Singapore, we have 6 madrasas. 6 madrasas. And so majority of Singaporeans go to secular school. Right? But we provide the options for parents who may want to send their kids to madrasa. So, and within this madrasa, the 6, there are different routes. Some are routes towards to becoming asatiza. Some, they can go madrasa education. At certain point, they can go to secular school. Some, we have an open route. So, it depends on their choice. What we do not want is to close the door. Because the youngsters today, may have different views as they grow, right? And I must say, while we provide them with that religious education, we want to make sure they meet the basic requirement of our education system. So they have to take some of the subjects or modules that the secular education system provide, right? So that down the line, they will not be affected even if they change their route. And today, the madrasa student no longer, where you see them only doing the asatiza route. I have madrasa, ex-madrasa or madrasa graduates who do social work, who become counselor, who go to prison to help inmates, right? So we want to open up opportunities for them, because at the end of the day, what we provide is for them to, while they go on this route, they are contextualized to the Singapore setting. Yeah, that to us is important. Because you see the world developments around the world, there are many things happening. Even those who go on the Azatiza route, when they come back, they will have to take a 1-year course to contextualize to Singapore. And they can still continue to excel in their Azatiza route. Right? So, and those who don't go to madrasa, we have the Alive program. That is being provided by the mosques in Singapore. So we have 70 mosques in Singapore, across Singapore. Right? So these are part-time weekend or weekday night courses where they learn all the various aspects of religious education. And beside the mosque, we also have private education providers. And they do that at the void decks. Right? So ample choices, right? And we also continue to engage Muslims in Singapore to send their kids for religious education. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's great answer from Professor Faisal. I wonder whether it is possible to have one more or two more. Okay.
We have time, so don't worry.
Okay.
We have time, right?
If any of you wanted to.
Any other question?
Yeah, because we have many deans here, and I think one from the Dean of Faculty of Education. Any other from student again? Oh, Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science. Okay. Please, starting from Prof. Azki.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful talk and discussions. I would like to know more about education, since you were also the Minister of Education previously. I think if we refer to the results of some international assessments like PISA, we know that Singapore has been very strong in the scores, and of course we have to say that we are shy to be left behind in terms of the scores, in terms of our students' achievement. So I was wondering what kind of cultures have you developed for the students so that they can achieve the scores in that high, and whether do you think the size of Singapore significantly matters in terms of organizing and arranging the programs and also the policies? Thank you.
Professor Toiba.
Thank you, Prof. Amel. I'm Nurul Toiba, Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences. My question relate to our subject about democracy. I think this is Indonesia. Democracy is regarded very important in Indonesia. That's why we in the past, we were very proud with the development of democracy in Indonesia, and we usually make claim that Indonesia is third biggest democratic country, and etc. And then probably democracy makes Indonesia better than Singapore. If we compare with other criteria, do you think that the progress in Singapore is because Singapore is not really pay attention to democracy, or probably also Singapore want to make all field better and progressing well, and then not really pay attention on this issue, and then Indonesia, because we pay attention too much to the democracy, and then we are left behind Singapore. And do you think that Singapore, because you are already in a very stable position, and then in the future that you can have will pay more attention to democracy than in the past? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Should we balance our democracy to achieve what Singapore did? Okay, I think that's all. Please, Professor.
Thank you.
Faisal.
Good question, sir. I think to be realistic, you have to see what we aspire to be as a nation. And many people shared with me before. This one I will try to answer both together. Many people shared with me that, Singapore is very small, easy to manage. But to be honest with you, having been in the government, having been in the community, and as an MP, I realized the smaller it is much more difficult to manage. It is much more, as a government, you want your country to prosper. You want to make sure you look after your people. Last year, I was in New York to meet quite a number of the leaders of small states. My learning point is that being a small state is very difficult. Many of the leaders told me, being small, they are being bullied. Being small, they are being bypassed. Being small, they have no control of their neighbors. Being small, even criminals can come to their country and rule their country, control their country, even though there's a government there. And they lost control. They cannot do anything. So their message to me, how did Singapore do it? And they said, Singapore, please continue to prosper. continue to go strong, because if you're not there, all small states are gone. So it's very difficult to actually to manage a small state. How you want to attract investors? Investors may not be interested because your market is small, right? And so we have been blessed because we have a good government, to be honest with you. To be honest with you. I mean, I'm not saying I'm in government. I mean, I can see that that's the differences that we have with some of these small states. And we have been able to lead all people in a manner that they recognize they are small. As such, education is important. As such, living harmoniously is important. As such, you know, sometimes we give and take is important. Even though we have differences, a bigger thing more important. Nevertheless, we never sacrifice on certain aspects, like your belief in religion. You can believe in any religion in Singapore. You can practice. You can go to the mosque without fear. And you can beribadah peacefully. So that to us is important, because these are rights that people want to have, and we want to provide it. However, we recognize that living in a multiracial, multi-religious context is not easy. Yeah. So sometimes there are differences, so we need to mediate. So PISA, yes, we have done well. I remember when I was in MOE, I went to Portugal. They have this discussion where the top 10 PISA nation come together to talk about how we can share best practices and continue to strengthen our system. And I realized that it's due to the hard work of our predecessors, which we continue to strengthen in terms of providing good education for our children and our people, and making sure that it's relevant, right? And today we are moving towards lifelong learning, right? So we pay people to study. Not many countries pay people to study, but we feel that it's important. Today, if you are 40 and above, you want to take another degree or even diploma, you'll be paid to do that. And I don't think many countries have that. Why? Because we recognize we don't have other things like what other countries have. So that's what we do. So we do it not because we want to be in the top rank of PISA. We do it because it's for our people and our country, livelihood, relevance. And then about democracy, it's a continuum. Right? You can see realistically in the world, right? Some call it, I can speak anything I want, freedom of speech, and some at the one end of the other end of the continuum, you maybe the level of freedom is lesser, right? But we have seen the effects of each of the milestones of the continuum, right? We feel what we have is not only provide the opportunity for people to speak, right, or to do things what they want, but they must be responsible for what they do, right? The challenge, and also it doesn't have an effect. We know there are some sensitive points, right, where if you don't manage properly, you don't have a framework to manage it, it may affect the harmonious living of the people. For example, right, we are very careful in the way we talk about other religion and other races, right? So for some, they say, oh, you don't have democracy, right, in that way, or freedom of speech, right? But we feel it's important, right? I've seen in countries whereby just because of that, you see, once you see a sight of another race, you just punch the fella. You just, why? Because of the environment that has been set. We don't want that in Singapore. However, certain things you're not happy, let's say protest, right? Some people say cannot protest. You can protest in Singapore, but you follow the framework, right? So essentially, these are things that we feel very important for us to provide the framework and allow you to speak. There are people who say, oh, I cannot speak this in Singapore, I cannot speak. You can speak, but you must be responsible. That means you speak, then when you are asked, you must be responsible. You cannot run away. You, like in today's online world, you can just boom, and then you run away, you disappear. We don't want to develop our country along those lines. Right? I've been an MP for 18 years. My government has never told me, I cannot speak this, I cannot speak that. I have been an activist and MP for more than close to 30 years. Even as an activist, no one has taken my speech away from me and say, you cannot speak this. That's the reality. Yeah. So sometimes I hear people or some of the people who critique saying this and that. I think it's important for them to experience it and really realize actually our main important part that we do is our country and our people. And we will continue to manage Singapore the way how we manage it, but we will make sure that it continues to be relevant and good for Singapore and the people. And some of the areas of work that we do, we have strong stance, which we think we want to protect our people. Like for example, we have strong stance in drugs because we feel that it's good for our people. I just came back from a trip and I saw how without a strong stance, it has affected the younger generation in that country. Yeah. So I think as a government, you got to put your people and country first. At the same time, you make sure that you develop a conducive environment for your people to live a life that they have freedom to live. At the same time, you understand the context of your country, like in multiracial, right? Already different human being, there is a fault line. And you, if you're a government, you do not know this, you do not know how to manage this, I think you may lose your election the next round. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you take care of your country in a manner that is relevant to your context. Yeah, so I met a friend who recently told me that his son felt very unsafe walking along a street in one of the countries where they can criticize, they can give views about each other's background freely. So because he said after his son was just on the train, one person say, I don't like your face. You are this, right? The fella whacked the fella, and my son was telling me it's because the environment set in that country was such that they can criticize anybody, right? They don't have qualms about doing that. But in Singapore, we feel that area has to be respected, has to be protected so that we can live harmoniously. And this goes back to our topic today about how we are resilient, we are able to live harmoniously because we take some of these stands which we feel as to be very important for our society. Can?
I think that's very good ending of the explanation in the talk. That even though in a multi-racial society like Singapore and like us in Indonesia, we have a very diverse culture, ethnic and religion. So there should be a boundaries to protect the tolerance, harmonious society. That's what happened in Singapore. That's it become develop a strong society. I want to conclude again. It already actually concluded already by Professor Faisal. And only one thing that I would like to stress is both Indonesia and Singapore has similarity of facing the diverse society. So we are very welcome for your effort, your offer for the engagement, especially of our university. We also not only have teaching, academic, on research, and also community service for students, which I think one of the very important ways of Indonesian and Singapore could work together, including from the youth, from the students. We have a program of community service actually, not only in Indonesia but also overseas. Yeah, so we can exchange that. So there are a lot of opportunities that we could learn. I agree totally with Professor Faisal. You need to feel the air there in Singapore in order to understand the situation there. And then many times I also think that sometimes we need to have a strong government to have a strong society here in Indonesia. So I think in the end, let's us give applause to Professor Faisal for a very excellent speech and also information for our public here. Thank you so much. I will give the time to MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Amelia Fauzia. Once again, please give a big round applause for moderator and speakers. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very fruitful session. Thank you for sharing with us, Prof. And please stay for a while for the token appreciation. So I would like to invite His Excellency and Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Faisal Ibrahim to come forward. And the token of appreciation will be delivered by Professor Dr. Ahmad Tolabi and Professor Dr. Ali Munhanif.
We would like also to invite Ambassador of the Republic of Singapore to the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Kwok Fok Sang. Please come forward. We will present to you a token of appreciation from UIN Jakarta to the guest speaker.
Okay, first to the Minister, Professor Ali. Yes. Okay.
The next token of appreciation will be presented by Vice Rector of Academic Affairs of UIN Jakarta, Professor Dr. Ahmad Tolabi Karli, to the Ambassador of the Republic of Singapore, Mr. Kwok Fok Sang. Please remain of.
Oh, we still have another token of appreciation from Ambassador of Republic of Singapore.
Okay, it will take turn. This is a token of appreciation from the Minister to UIN Jakarta. Please stay for a while. We will have a photo session.
Yes.
Bapak Ibu setelah ini dipersilahkan untuk menuju landmark UIN Jakarta. Kita akan foto bersama di sana yang bisa lebih leluasa dan lebih banyak nantinya.
Betul. Jadi Bapak Ibu bisa kami undang untuk foto bersama di landmark UIN Jakarta. Terima kasih Bapak.
On behalf of the organizing committee, would like to extend our warmest gratitude to all of you. Thank you very much for your nice attention and participation.
Thank you so much.
That's the end of our session. See you and goodbye.
Bye.
Please enjoy the rest of your day.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.